Hi there, it's Claire Hartman-James here. I just want to do this quick introduction video just so you know a little bit more about me and my background and where I come from, where I'm going and what my life is looking like now. So I'm an online internet marketer, as I'm sure you know, and I am also, my number one priority is that I'm a mummy of two. So I'm a happily married mummy of two. I've got two children. That's Bailey aged 8 and Lily aged 5, and they're both at school now, so it enables me to spend a little bit more time on my business. I started self-employed about 5 years ago when just after I had Lily. So just after I had Lily, I was made redundant when I was pregnant. Up until then I'd always worked for other people, always been employed, always worked for other people, never even thought about being self-employed. My husband is, but the thought of it at the time absolutely terrified me. Didn't think I'd be capable of running my own business and didn't even know where to start, and so I'd always found it a much easier solution just to work for somebody else. So I had always worked really hard. My dad taught me that you needed to work hard to earn money, and my mum taught me that if you have money you got nice things. So that was a good combination of the two. And I'd always worked really hard. I liked nice things. So I had my own flat, made a big decision to buy my own flat in my 20s. I used to go on holiday, I used to go out socialising quite a lot, and I probably spent quite a lot of money on food, drink and clothes and things like that. So I did work hard in order to do that. And then I, deep down, even though I was quite ambitious in my 20s, I just wanted to be a mummy. So I wanted to meet Mr. Right, sweep me off my feet and have children, and then I didn't want to work again, basically. I didn't really want to work. I just was absolutely looking forward to the day when I could have kids and be a stay-at-home mummy. That was really important to me, and that's what I always wanted. So when I met my now husband, been together coming up 13 years, Devlin, I met him, and it was pretty much love at first sight, bless him. So it was eyes across the floor in the bar we met, and we pretty much fell in love in a very short period of time. And very quickly I realised that he was the guy that I wanted to have kids with. And then I was in my 30s by then, so when I made the decision, I really wanted to have children, and I was desperate to have a child. And then within a couple of years, cut a very long story short, I had Bailey. Now at the time I had Bailey, who's now 8, there was a lot of stress going on in my life. I was in a stressful sales job. I had a team of people that some of them were off sick and they weren't performing, so there was a lot of things going on there. We were moving house when I was pregnant, so that was quite stressful. And then in the build up before I left work, my twin sister wasn't very well. So my twin sister, she was going through, gone through a nasty divorce, and she was basically drinking a lot and taking drugs and living on the street and suffering from severe depression. So that was, it was an extremely stressful time for me, and it was building up and building up and building up. It was like one thing after another, one thing after another, one thing after another. And up until before I had Bailey, I'd always thought that I could do absolutely anything, that nothing would faze me. I could take on the world and not a problem at all. But I'd never had a child. And if you've had children, you know that absolutely knocks you for six. It's a massive thing. So after I gave birth, 3 weeks after I had Bailey, I just felt like I couldn't cope. It was just literally like I was on the top of a mountain and I was on the edge of the mountain, and I just knew I was going to fall off. I just knew that I couldn't cope. I remember Devlin said I'd started repeating myself and things like that, and I was a bit manic, I think, and I just remember thinking, I can't cope, I can't cope, I can't cope, I can't take any more. And it really pushed me over the edge. So after 3 weeks, the health visitor came out and I was hospitalised and diagnosed with postnatal psychosis. So if you don't know what this is, it's basically a complete mental breakdown. So I didn't know if it was day or night. I couldn't tell hot from cold. I was delusional. I was having nightmares. I was having sleep paralysis where I was literally like hallucinating, seeing myself lying in bed dead, looking down on it. I couldn't watch the telly, voices were talking to me, I was seeing things. It was a very strange experience. I was having severe panic attacks as well, which was new to me. I'd never had them before, and that was quite scary. So as you can appreciate, it was pretty rock bottom. So that was 3 weeks after having Bailey. Back up into hospital, and then within 4 months of having Bailey, I came out of hospital and they put me on severe medication. And after about 3 weeks of that, which was absolutely dreadful, I made a decision to come off of it. At the same time, I was in Basildon Mental Hospital. My twin sister was in Runwell Mental Hospital. So she was in the hospital for depression, and I was in the hospital for postnatal illness at the same time. Penny came to see Bailey once, saw him once. I'm a little bit embarrassed saying it, but I remember when she came to see him, I was embarrassed about her because she looked so terrible, and I didn't, and it sounds horrible, but there was a part of me that didn't want her near my baby, and that was the last time I saw my sister, which is pretty tough going. But there's nothing I can do about that now. But yeah, she gave me a little teddy, and we've got that, and we treasure that. But yeah, so I ended up losing my twin sister. She was in ICU. She was on full, every single tiny bit of equipment going. She wasn't eating, she wasn't drinking, she was in a coma, and every single organ was being kept alive basically by machinery. And that started from alcoholism, drugs and depression. So the eve of New Year's Eve, after I had Bailey, we lost my sister. So if you can appreciate where I've come from, is the lowest of the low. As low as you can get, I had postnatal psychosis, severe mental illness. I was starting to recover from that, and then I lost my twin sister. So it took me about a year. It took me about a year to recover. I made the decision. I had a massive, massive why, and that was my son, my baby. I wanted to be a really good mummy for him. I'd always wanted children, so that was very, very important to me. And he was my why that kept me going. So I basically, as I come off of medication, everything that happened to me, everything that I experienced was real. So I wasn't, I'd always believed that medication hides what you're actually feeling. It doesn't actually cure you, it just disguises what you're feeling. So you're running away from what you're feeling, basically. And my personal opinion was, I didn't want to be like that. I wanted to face my fears, face my reality, however horrible and scary and terrible it was. And I wanted to learn how to cope with it, learn how to deal with it, learn how to push through. And that's basically what I did over the course of a year. Using self-cognitive therapy, I learned how to cope. I learned how to recognise how I was feeling. I learned how to recognise my emotions. I learned how to recognise how my body felt. I learned to recognise if I needed to sleep, which was vitally important. I learned to recognise if I needed to eat, which was vitally important. I had to eat every 3 or 4 hours, still do, and still can recognise the signs that if you're feeling stressed or anxious and you haven't eaten, then that will go through the roof. Again, sleep. If you haven't slept well, that has a massive effect on your personal well-being. I learned that I needed to exercise regularly, and at the time I used to take the pram out and go power walking with the baby. And I learned that this had I literally walked off my stress and anxiety. And this wasn't normal stress and anxiety. This was like completely nuts stress and anxiety. I was seeing things still. I was feeling other people's stress and emotion. It was a very strange time. And I used to always say to my husband, am I normal yet? Which if you ask if you're normal, then the answer is normally no. Because if you're normal, you don't need to ask if you're normal. You just know you're normal. So it took me about a year to recover, and I learned a hell of a lot. But I also learned that if I turned around the feelings and the thoughts that I had in my head, I could create a better reality. So I learned to turn negative thoughts into positive thoughts. And I learned to look at a situation. I always used to ask myself, what's the worst that can happen? What would I do? How would I cope if X, Y, or Z happened? And then once I managed to do that and manage my expectations, I then faced my fear. And right at the start, I couldn't even leave the house, couldn't drive the car. couldn't even watch the TV. So there was a lot of fear. So I faced all of those, pushed myself daily, pushed myself out of my comfort zone. And the reason I did all of this was because of my baby, because I just wanted to be normal. And I actually prayed, like literally prayed, and I'm a Christian, but I wouldn't say I'm a churchgoer, but I literally prayed to be normal, prayed for my life to go back to normal. And thankfully it did. For quite a while, my life went back to normal. And then I went back to being the same old Claire. I had some good points and some not so good points. And then nearly 3 years ago, I discovered something that absolutely changed my life completely for the better. I discovered personal development and a book called The Secret. Now this blew my mind. To be honest, it scared the life out of me when I first read it, because of my experience 8 years previous. It made me realise I'd cured myself by using the law of attraction, by using the power of the positive mind, which was great and fantastic and amazing. However, the reason it scared the absolute bejesus out of me was because I then was consciously aware of all the crap in my mind. And there was still a lot of crap going around in my mind. I was still a crap magnet. There was a lot of clutter emotionally. I wouldn't say mentally as such, because I was declared sane, but emotionally I was still in a bit of a mess. I was a bit of a roller coaster. I'd be one of these people that was up here 1 minute and then down there the next minute. And it wasn't very even keel. So reading the book, The Secret, made me realise that all this stuff that was going on in my head, all these voices and, you know, your little voice telling you you're not good enough and you're this and you're that and da 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 da, that I was in control of that, or I was actually making it happen. I was attracting more of the same. So it took me quite a while to declutter, and I say that's about nearly 3 years ago. And it's only now I'm much more consciously aware of how I'm feeling. I feed my mind daily with personal development, with audios and reading. Audios tend to suit me better because of the situation I'm in. I'm a busy mum of 2 and I run 4 online businesses now. So audios tend to suit me better because I can listen to them anywhere. I've been to the gym this morning, 1.5 hours, listening to a bit of Esther Hicks. And I've listened to lots of material, a minimum of 30 minutes a day, every day, if not more, because I love it and because I know it has such a massive impact on my mind, on my whole life and on my relationship, on my mental well-being, on my emotional well-being, and on my financial well-being. So in the last 1.5 years, I've gone from earning next to nothing PIN money to this year being on target to be a 6-figure earner to my bank from money online, from my 4 online businesses. And that's working part-time from home, either on my iPad or on my mobile phone. So it's pretty life-changing. So that's a little bit of an introduction about me, tell you a little bit about where I've come from. So if your life is crap at the moment, do not panic, do not worry. In fact, the more crappier it is, the more you work on yourself, the better your outcome can be. You just need to be consistent, you need to be coachable, and you need to be committed. And these series of videos I've put together are based on my own personal experiences over the last couple of years. Now, if you choose to follow these videos, then that's absolutely fantastic, and I'll be delighted to hear any results you have. If you choose to dismiss them and your life doesn't change and you're happy with that, that's entirely up to you. But nothing changes in life unless you make changes, and all you need to do is be consistent, committed and coachable. And remember to always think and feel positive. Okay, so it's Claire Hartman-James. I should catch up with you on the next video, and you have a wonderful day. Bye.